broadcasting for a worldwide audience.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Radio Lewes, where the music matters, and this is Saturday Live. And if you were expecting Swazi, because I told you she'd be in, I lied. She's not here, it's me. You're stuck with me again. I'm not going to mention the B word, but I am going to play a track that sort of sums up the state we're in this country. Steelers Will there, Stuck in the Middle of You from 1973, and mildly prophetic these days. It was an international hit, reaching number 6 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and number 8 in the UK, and it's still a great tune. I've got some stuff coming up for you today. I've got a little bit of the Dead Sea Scouts because we got the gig tonight. I've got a truncated gig guide because we're running out of months and I haven't got the new Viva Lewis. But I have got a list of stuff that Si's got tickets for down in Si's Sounds. I've got some great music. We'll have some shameless self-promotion. We'll have some news too. And the usual drivel from me. But we'll have a bit more music now. I think this one is Fleetwood Mac. From 1977, and quite obviously from Rumours, the hit album from the British-American rock band. Didn't do very well over here. It was the second single released in the UK, only peaked at number 32 in the UK charts. Did rather better in the US, peaked at number 3. I've no idea what's coming up next, so we'll just play it. From the album Goat's Head Soup from 1973. That was Angie, the Rolling Stones, of course it was. I really should check the playlist, but I wasn't expecting to be in here today, so I just grabbed something at random. In the meantime, let's have another dip in the pick and mix. I'm lucky this week. I've actually managed to get Nick in the studio because she wasn't here when I spoke to Si. Hi Nick, how you doing?
Oh, hello, Ben. It's lovely to be here. Yeah, aren't you lucky? I'm not normally here in the week, am I?
No, you're not.
No, I'm a weekend presenter, aren't I?
Because of the early years of learning.
In the early years, yes, being a teacher like what I am. But no, it's glorious. It's summer holidays, so now you've got me. So I'm just come to annoy everybody, really.
Yeah, so as you're here, tell us from your perspective about Si and Nick's pick and mix.
Oh, I'm very fond of it. I am. I really, it is a bit of a hobby. It is a hobby, but we love music. We've always loved music. Like everybody, we've got a soundtrack to our lives, and we just sort of indulge ourselves really and hope that people have a bit of a laugh as well. So we started about, I don't know how many years ago it was, doing rocket. My brother's gesticulating to me. He's not allowed to speak. 7. Is that 7? 5 and 2. Good boy. Well done. Put your fingers down now. Sit quietly. And we started 7 years ago. Rocket Radio. And we were asked to do some a few slots because Si's got the record shop on Station Street, so he had the music link, and we just sort of came up with a pick and mix idea because it was in half term, so that I could do it as well. And we just had a bit of a laugh doing that just for 1 week of the year, and then wonderful Radio Lewes appeared out of nowhere, and you haven't been able to get rid of us since, have you?
Well,
really?
I've got to be honest, we haven't wanted to get rid of you because your shows just enliven our playlist. It's just wonderful, the number of people that are now listening, and I'm sure that Pick and Mix is responsible for increasing the listenership. So was it a conscious effort to embarrass your parents?
Absolutely.
Your poor old dad's getting paranoid.
Yeah, it's our life's work, really. Yeah, they've even stopped listening now.
Because you've told stories about him throwing chicken legs over his shoulder and...
We had a joyous childhood. We laughed. We had a really good childhood. I mean, we just had lots of fun, lots of music, lots of laughs. And we do. That's what we love to do, is listen to music and be happy and laugh. So, I mean, if you want to be happy, then listen to us.
Well, it certainly shows when you listen to the Pick
and we love Lewes as well. But shut up. Yes, you do. We love Lewes and what's going on around in Lewes, and Si's got his business in Lewes, and our other sponsor is a Lewes-based business, Just Williams, and we're passionate about the town too. I know that sometimes we love to get annoyed about it, but it is a great old place, isn't it?
It is indeed.
It is.
Nick, thank you so much for giving me your time. It's lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Long may the Pick and Mix reign.
We ain't finished with you lot there yet. We'll be back. Thank you.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We
originally released in 1986 from the album Whispering Jack by John Farnham, and it did pretty well everywhere. It topped the Kent Music Report singles charts in his native Australia for 7 weeks, from November 3rd to December 21st, and it did pretty well across Europe. Number 1 in Germany and Sweden, reaching the top 10 in Austria, Ireland, Switzerland and the UK. Didn't do so well in the States, but it did okay in Canada. And it's been back a couple of times as well. Once, especially from 2012, after it was used for a Ford TV ad. Haven't heard that in a very long time. I love this next track though. This is the Blue Oyster Cult. Probably the best known track by Blue Oyster Cult from 1976, and it was on the album Agents of Fortune, Don't Fear the Reaper there. And I'm going to follow that with a bit of White Snake.
I don't know where I'm going. singing songs of yesterday, and I've made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time. Here I go again. Here I go again. Though I keep searching for an answer, never seem to find what I'm looking for. Lord, I pray you give me strength to carry on, 'cause I know what it means to walk along the lonely street of dreams. And here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone, and I've made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time. I'm just another heart in need of rescue, waiting on love's sweet charity. And I'm gonna hold on for the rest of my days, 'cause I know what it means to walk along the lonely street of dreams. And here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone, and I've made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time, but here I go again. Here I go again. Here I go again. Here I go. Cause I know what it means to walk along the lonely street of dreams. And here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone, and I've made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time. And here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone, 'cause I know what it means to walk on the lonely street of dreams. And here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone.
Originally from 1982, and the album was Saints and Sinners. That was a 1987 re-recorded version for their self-titled album, and that one did very, very well. There was a new radio mix version which was released as a single and hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 on the 10th of October 1987, number 9 in the UK singles charts, number 1 on the Canadian singles charts as well. It did very well. And in 2006, that version was ranked as number 17 on VH1 100 Greatest Songs of the 80s. Everybody knows it, I might imagine. Now then, I am going to play you another track, and then we're going to have a very special interview.
Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place They say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven our place on earth. Ooh, heaven is a place on When the night falls down, I wait for you and you come around, and the world's alive with the sound of kids on the street outside. When you walk into the room, you pull me close and we start to move, and we're spinning with the stars above, and you lift me up in a web of love. Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. When I feel alone, I reach for you and you bring me home. When I'm lost at sea, I hear your voice and it carries me. In this world we're just beginning to understand the miracle of living. Baby, I was afraid before, but I'm not afraid anymore. Baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. Ooh, heaven is a place on In this world we're just beginning to understand the miracle of living. Baby, I was afraid before, but I'm not afraid anymore. Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. Ooh, heaven is 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 a place on earth.
Belinda Carlisle, of course, from, again, 1987, and the album was Heaven on Earth. Now, I said we got a very special interview. Ian Ruskin is bringing his one-man play about Thomas Paine here to Lewes on the 27th of April at the All Saints Centre. It's called To Begin the World Over Again, and our own John Russell had a chat with Ian Ruskin.
There's a unique opportunity to hear the words of Thomas Paine and explore the ideas of this 18th century political philosopher when actor Ian Ruskin brings his production Thomas Paine's To Begin the World Over Again. And here's a sample.
There were those in the America of my time, and I believe perhaps in the America of your time, who were beginning to contemplate government as a profitable monopoly, to take money to the rich from the cost of the rest of us. See, John Adams, he said that America, the United States, should be governed by a few of the most wise and best, the rich and well-born and able. Alexander Hamilton said that the rich and well-born should have a distinct permanent place in government to check the imprudence of democracy. A republic must be a republic not just in principles, but in reality.
Leaping from the stage, delighting audiences in America, Ian Ruskin's acclaimed one-man play brings Thomas Paine home to Lewes, where his eloquence as a debater became finely tuned 250 years ago. Paine went on to change the world with the wit and vision of his pen. He was one of the world's greatest writers and worst politicians. Would it prove to be a deadly combination? It's one of the questions that Ian Ruskin poses in his new play, Thomas Paine's To Begin the World Over Again. Now, I'm very pleased to welcome Ian Ruskin on the line from Los Angeles, because, of course, Tom Paine spent part of his earlier life in Lewes, and in fact had a connection with Westgate Chapel, which is where Radio Lewes is actually based. And it's called the Thomas Paine's To Begin the World Over Again. Now, how did this come about, Ian? What's the genesis of the idea?
Well, what happened was, I'm an actor living in English actor, obviously living in Los Angeles. I had written a one-man play about an Australian Labour leader who came to California called Harry Bridges. And he was a very visionary left-wing Labour leader, and I really was very inspired by his political philosophy. And then someone having seen, in fact, 3 different people within a weekend, having seen the play about Harry Bridges, said to me, well, you should do a play about Thomas Paine. And I did not know very much about Thomas Paine. And I read one biography and was completely hooked on the man. Just one of the most fascinating, I think, characters in history. There's a connection to Harry Bridges in that I'm now spending my life, it seems, writing plays about men from American and European history who are greatly misunderstood.
Right, yeah.
And have never, if you like, got their just deserts for their contributions to the world. And Paine certainly fits into that category. The more I read about him, the more amazed I was by his political positions, by the way his mind worked politically, in the the second half of the 1700s. And the more fascinated I became by his life. He was a very interesting, complex man, which I certainly think and hope comes through in the play. But it was those original 3 people who, I say, in the space of a weekend, all said, well, you should do Thomas Paine next. And that was actually what led me to Thomas Paine.
Where do we get tickets? That's the important thing that people want to know.
Yes. The Union Music Store.
Oh, yeah, that's Dell down
at... everyone in Lewes knows.
Well, we've got a very close connection with Dell, yeah.
The Lewes Tourist Information Centre.
Yeah, the TIC,
which I'm sure everyone knows.
Yeah.
And also wegottickets.com.
Okay, yeah.
So, if you want to get them online as opposed to going and buying them, those are the 3 sites. They actually have the tickets. The tickets have arrived.
Good.
There will be posters and flyers going up around the town.
Uh-huh.
I have a dear friend who lives in Lewes who's doing that for me. But yeah, the tickets are at those 3 venues. So go buy them.
So Thomas Paine is indeed coming home to Lewes. That's at the All Saints Centre on April the 27th this year at 7:30 p.m. Ian Ruskin's Tom Paine's To Begin the World Over Again.
If you want more information about that, you can go online. There's a website dedicated to it. The tickets are £12 and £8 for the under 25s. And just to reiterate, available at Union Music Store, Lewes Tourist Information Centre and wegottickets.com. It will be a fascinating play, I think. And there is a longer version of that interview available on our website. If you want to hear more, please do check that out. Now we're going to come back to the music, and this is Huey Lewis and the News. From 1985, The Power of Love. Written for and featured in the film Back to the Future. It gave the band their first number one hit on the US Billboard Hot 100 and their second number one hit on the US Top Rock Tracks chart. There we are now. I've got a very small gig guide because we are running out of months very fast. It is the 30th of March today, and that means tonight the Dead Sea Scouts are here for a Radio Lewis live sessions event. They are supported by the Dichotics, so you're going to get 45 minutes of psychedelic garage rock followed by the Scouts Alternative Folk Off. That's what they call it. Doors open at 7:30 p.m. The event is free with a ticket. You can still get them from Size Sounds on Station Street or online at We Got Tickets. There will be a cash bar, and all proceeds to Radio Lewes and the Oyster Project, and all donations will be gratefully received. We couldn't put on these gigs without your very kind donations, so please chuck a little bit in the hat at the end of the gig. Alternatively, you can get yourself to the Elephant and Castle, where Shirley Collins will be singing along with Ian Keary. She's obviously a legendary folk singer. That's at 8 p.m. Tickets are £10 if it hasn't already sold out. And tomorrow, Sunday the 31st, sees John Forrester doing a Sundays in the Bar session at the Con Club. 3:30, and it's our favourite price. It's free. And there's another free event at the Royal Oak at 7:30 in the evening. The Rome Jam Session, hosted by Sophie C. Mason, upstairs at the Royal Oak at 7:30, and it's free. We'll have a bit more music, and I'll tell you what you can get tickets for at Size Sounds.
I hate the world today. You're so good to me, I know, but I can't change. Tried to tell you, but you look at me like maybe I'm an angel underneath, innocent and sweet. Yesterday I cried. You must have been relieved to see the softer side. I can understand how you'd be so confused. I don't envy you. I'm a little bit of everything, all rolled into one. I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed. I'm your hell, I'm your dream. I'm nothing in between. You know you wouldn't want it any other way. So take me as I am. This may mean you'll have to be a stronger man. Rest assured that when I start to make you nervous and I'm going to extremes, tomorrow I will change and today won't mean a thing. I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed. I'm your hell, I'm your dream. I'm nothing in between. You know you wouldn't want it any other way.
haven't heard that in ages. Meredith Brooks and Bitch from 1997. Blurring the Edges was the name of the album. It's a great tune. I haven't heard that for ages. Now, as promised, this is what you can get tickets for down at Size Sounds, and everything he has got tickets for are at the Con Club. So on the 6th of April, Steve Ignorant's Slice of Life. I think that's £14. The 12th of April sees Chelsea playing the Con Club. That's £12.50. On the 25th, Slaughter and the Dogs will be there. On the 28th, the Alabama 3 acoustic set for £18. These next two are in Brighton, so he hasn't got tickets for these. The Svetlanas on the 6th and the UK Subs on the 12th will be playing the Hope and Ruin at Brighton. The 15th sees the Electric Six at the Con Club, and that's £18, and he's got 4 tickets left as of Thursday. The 20th sees the Devils, and the 25th sees the Verucas, but at the Hope and Ruin in Brighton again. June 2nd, the Subhumans are at the Con Club, and July 13th sees Penetration. Can't remember the price on those last two. And September, there's 2 more for Brighton. The 7th, the Punks Picnic at the Brighton Open Air Theatre. And the 27th of September, Spear of Destiny play One-Eyed Jacks at the Brighton Open Air Theatre. For more details on those, go to facebook.com/Big Blue Shed. And tickets are also available at We Got Tickets or cgottickets.com. Sorry, ctickets.com. Lots and lots to look forward to. Some more music now. This is Kiss and Crazy, Crazy Nights.
Whoa! Here's a little song for everybody out there. People try to take my soul away, but I don't hear the rap that they all say. They try to tell us we don't belong. That's alright. We're millions strong. This is my music. It makes me proud. These are my people, and this is my crowd. These are crazy, 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 crazy nights. These are crazy, 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 crazy nights. Sometimes days are so hard to survive. Oh yeah, a million ways to bury you alive. Hey, the sun goes down like a bad, bad dream. You end up tight, gotta let off steam. They say they can break you again and again. If life is a radio, turn up to 10. These are crazy, 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 crazy nights. These are crazy, 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 crazy nights. Whoa! These are crazy, 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 crazy nights. Come on! These are crazy, 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 crazy Yeah. And nobody's gonna change me, 'cause that's who I am. These are crazy, 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 crazy nights. Oh yeah. These are crazy, 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 crazy nights. Whoa. These are crazy, 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 crazy nights. Yeah. These are crazy, crazy, crazy,
From the 14th studio album, that was the title track. It was a departure from their usual musical style, changing from the heavy metal sound into the more radio-friendly and pop metal sound. And suffice to say, it did do a lot of damage to their fan base. Never mind, they came back eventually. Who's next? Foreigner and Cold as Ice.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love. You never take advice. Someday you'll pay the price. I know. I've seen it before. It happens all the time. You're closing the door. You leave the world behind. You're digging for gold. You're throwing away a fortune and feelings, but someday you'll pay. You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love. You want paradise, but someday you'll pay the price. I know. I've seen it before. It happens all the time. You're closing the door. You leave the world behind. You're digging for gold. You're throwing away a fortune and feelings, but someday you'll pay. You know that you are as cold as ice to me. You're as cold as ice. Cold as ice, I know. Yes, I know. You're as cold as ice. Cold as ice, I know. Oh, yes, I know. You're as cold as ice. Cold as ice, I know. Oh, yes, I know. You're as cold as
From 1977, and the eponymous debut album by the English-American rock band, and initially the B-side to some versions of the Feels Like the First Time 45 RPM single. It's just gone 11 o'clock. Alexa, can we have the headlines, please?
Here's your news. In weather, right now in Lewes, it's 13 degrees Celsius with clear skies and sun. Today's forecast is clouds and showers, with a high of 15 degrees and a low of 7 degrees. From BBC Sports News.
The latest BBC Sport update.
Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola believes his squad are both physically and mentally fresh enough for an assault on an unprecedented quadruple. City will go back to the top of the Premier League, a point clear of Liverpool, if they beat struggling Fulham today. Jurgen Klopp's side don't play till tomorrow when they face Tottenham, but Guardiola says his side won't be paying much attention to that game.
What I learned in the experience is better. Don't look too much to the neighbour. It's a huge mistake. So I don't know what's going to happen in Anfield. Of course, Liverpool played for like us and Tottenham as well to qualify for the Champions League. But normally when that's happened, you distract what you have to do. And you're thinking, maybe I'm going to drop points. And normally when that's happened, you are the first one you drop points.
Meanwhile, commentary of Fulham against Manchester City in today's 5 Live Sport from 12:30, followed by Manchester United versus Watford at 3. Meanwhile, defeat for Huddersfield against Crystal Palace this afternoon, coupled with wins for Burnley and Southampton, would see Town relegated from the Premier League, possibly becoming just the second team to go down from the Premier League during March. Edinburgh captain Stuart McAnally says they have the players to go toe-to-toe with Munster in their Champions Cup quarter-final this afternoon. Munster reached the semis last year. McAnally says reaching the last four would be a huge achievement for Edinburgh.
It'll be a real sort of indication that we're moving in the right direction. You know, when you get out of the group, it's going to be really hard, but now we've got a chance to get through a quarter-final and into a semi-final, and we're just treating it as a one-off game. It means a lot to the club, a lot to the supporters, and yeah, we'll be throwing everything at them.
It's going to be a great day of Champions Cup quarter-final action. Edinburgh against Munster kicks off the commentaries on Sports Extra from midday. Horse racing's flat season gets underway today in its traditional way with the Lincoln Handicap. It's staged at Doncaster. Coverage on 5 Live Sport at 3:35. Let's take you live to the track now, and our correspondent Cornelius Lysett.
Good morning, and it's a bright, mild South Yorkshire morning for the start of the flat racing season on turf. The 5 classic races, Royal Ascot, the Ebor, Champions Day, and much more all stretch ahead. Today, though, the historic Lincoln Handicap move 40 miles from Lincoln, when the racecourse there closed in 1964, takes centre stage. 22 runners are due to compete over a fast and furious 1 mile, and on Dubai World Cup Day in Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed and his Godolphin operation are perhaps concentrating their attentions elsewhere. But Orcs Air, running for Godolphin, trainer Charlie Appleby and jockey James Doyle, heads the field for the Lincoln.
Cornelius, thank you. Rory McIlroy says he's relishing the prospect of facing the 14-time major winner Tiger Woods at the WGC Match Play event in Texas today. This will be the first time the two have met in the head-to-head format of the game. The match starts at 8:30 a.m. US time. Woods admits early morning weather conditions could cause his long-term back issues to flare up.
I'll have to do my normal warm-up, make sure that I'm warm and keep warm. That's always going to be the challenge for me going forward with where my back is, and just got to keep it warm and keep it moving.
And having been dominated by the Ferraris of Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc in both practice sessions at the Bahrain Grand Prix yesterday, world champion Lewis Hamilton says his Mercedes team must come back stronger today. You can follow third practice and qualifying as well on the BBC Sport website and app from 11:30 this morning. That's the latest from BBC Sport.
BBC Sport.
From BBC News.
The BBC.
Theresa May is considering how she might bring her Brexit deal back to Parliament for a fourth time. On Monday, MPs from all parties will test support for other ways forward during a second round of indicative votes. Here's the Conservative MP and Brexit supporter Richard Drax.
These indicative votes, I think, frankly, they are a disgrace. These ideas or propositions or motions or whatever you call, most of them are Remain-orientated, about 99%. None of them were voted for by the people of this country, so it's a complete farce.
The Remain supporting Conservative MP Dominic Grieve has lost a vote of no confidence, carried out by members of his local association in Beaconsfield in Buckinghamshire. Several other senior Tories have criticised the decision against the former Attorney-General. Eurostar says it's hoping to get services to and from St Pancras back to normal soon after they were suspended overnight. A protester carrying a St George's flag spent the night on the station roof and the overhead cables had to be switched off. A 44-year-old man has been arrested. The pilot of the plane carrying Emiliano Sala isn't thought to have been qualified to fly at night. The footballer and David Ibbotson were killed when it crashed into the Channel on the night of the 21st of January. Kayleigh Thomas is from BBC Wales.
On his licence, we're told that it clearly states that he can only make flights in daylight hours. And we're told that the reason that he didn't have this night rating was because of the level of colour blindness that he had, which would stop a pilot from gaining that qualification to fly at night, because obviously it's crucial to be able to differentiate between green and red lights when you're flying at night.
President Trump is threatening to close the border with Mexico next week. He's accusing the country's government of not doing enough to stop migrants reaching the United States. Mexico's president says he won't be drawn into a confrontation with Washington. And lights will be switched off across more than 100 landmarks in the UK for 60 minutes this evening to mark Earth Hour. It's the international annual event and it's been organised by the conservation charity WWF.
BBC News.
That's all for now.
There you are, that's the news. You're listening to Saturday Live here on Radio Lewis, where the music matters. My name's Ben Fuller, because I forgot that Swazi wasn't in this week, so you've got me again. And back to the music. This is Yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart.
Move yourself. You always live your life, never thinking of the future. Prove yourself. You are the move you make. Take your chances, win or loser. See yourself. You are the steps you take. You, and that's the only way. Shake yourself. Your every move you make. So the story goes. Owner of a lonely heart. Owner of a lonely heart. Much better than the owner of a broken heart. Owner of a lonely heart. Say you don't wanna chance it. You've been hurt so before. Watch it now. Evil in the sky. How we dancing one and only. You lose yourself. No, nothing to say. There's no real reason to be lonely. Be yourself. Give your free will a chance. You've got to want to succeed. Owner of a lonely heart. Owner of a lonely heart. Much better than the owner of a broken heart. Owner of a lonely
From 1983, that was from the 11th studio album by the English progressive rock band Yes. The album was 90125, released November 1983. If I don't pay attention to that, I sometimes think that's Sting. which always sends a shiver down my spine. Who's next on this? This is Cher, and I Found Someone.
Don't you know so many things they come and go, like your words that once rang true, just like the love I thought I found in you. And I remember the thunder talking about the fire in your eyes, but you walked away when I needed you most. Now maybe, baby, maybe, baby, I found someone to take away the heartache, to take away the loneliness I've been feeling since you've been gone, since you've been gone. Dry your eyes, I never could bear to see you cry. Someday your love will shine through and show you the feelings you never really knew. Baby, don't you lose that thunder talking about the fire in your eyes. You're looking at me, but you still don't believe that maybe, baby, maybe, baby, I found someone to take away the heartache, to take away the loneliness I've been feeling since you've been gone, since you've been too long on the borderline, wondering if your love was really mine, but you left me with open eyes. And when I realized, baby, I found someone to take away the heartache, to take away the loneliness I've been feeling since you've been gone. Baby, I found someone to take away the heartache, to take away the loneliness I've been feeling since you've been gone, since you've been
From 1987 and her self-titled album, that was Cher. I think of Cher along the lines of heavily restored classic cars. You have to ask yourself, if it's predominantly made up of new bits, is it really still a classic car? How much of Cher is original parts that are still left? I do wonder that. Cheap Trick are up next.
I'm begging you to beg me.
Oh, they're massive in Japan, Cheap Trick, still to this day. That was from 1977, and the album was In Colour. Then we're going to take a quick break for some shameless self-promotion. It's time to get mobbed. I'm joined in the studio with our very own King Mob. Steve Parsons, welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Tell us a little bit about King Mob. Who is he?
Who is King Mob? King Mob is a kind of it's a semi-fictional character. The first, I think, recorded King Mob was like with a Situationist in Paris in the last century. And he's generally considered to be a subversive figure. He's whatever society is for, King Mob's for the opposite. So when I do King Mob, and I also, as you know, I had a King Mob beat group 5 or 6 years ago. I look at everything from the point of view of it has to go through a King Mob filter. Would King Mob do this? Would King Mob like that? What would King Mob? It's not particularly my taste. Sometimes I find King Mob's taste in things is slightly different from mine. But if you take on the character, like any good actor or whatever, you've got to go right through with it. And so that's what I do.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I know you, obviously, as King Mob. I also know about the band King Mob, and I know that you've been in Sharks, but I don't know, and our listeners won't know much about you unless they follow Sharks and whatever information's out there. So tell us about...
Oh, you mean my actual background?
Tell us a little bit about Steve Parsons.
Okay, well, when I was 15 years old, I found out I could sing like black American soul singers quite well. Much to my surprise, and started working in beat groups in the 60s. In Yorkshire, where I lived in Bridlington, and in those days, a 15-year-old, 16, 17, 18-year-old boy could make a lot of money. I was good, and we played in bands. Everybody wanted live bands in those days. Pubs wanted live bands, working men's clubs, theatres, all sorts of stuff. And they would pay you. And nowadays, it's real hard for young groups to make a living out of making music. I was making a decent living out of music when I was 15, 16, 17, 18. Then at the end of that, you kind of think, well, I have to do something with this to make it into a full-time thing. And I got the offer to sing with Sharks, which was supposed to be a supergroup. Andy Fraser, the bass player, had written All Right Now. Chris Spedding, the guitar player, was the up-and-coming guitar player. High hopes for the band. So I thought, well, I'll go for that. And that was an interesting mistake.
Really?
Well, it's sort of. I never regret it. You know, I had other offers before Sharks to go up to London, which was the big deal. When you're in the provinces, living in Hull, the move to London had to be right. Well, Sharks offered me everything. Offered me money, recording contract, excellent musicians to play with. Now, the fact that it turned into a kind of monumental car crash, aided and abetted by ourselves, and massive greed from everybody, and, it was a 2-year crash and burn, out of which I got a great relationship with Chris Spedding, and that's lasted through the years I went on after that. I played with Ginger Baker, I did solo albums. Spedding produced one of my solo albums during that period. When he was a solo performer, I wrote material for him. And then in the 80s, I moved into the field of applied music for film and television, which is where you just take commissions. They've got a film or a project or a TV show. They need music, and it gets handed to you, and you work with people. I became a backroom guy, and I sat there for many years. Nobody knew the hell I was, but more people heard my music in those 24 years than have ever heard it as a performer.
I'm sure they did.
I used to sit there and when you had TV ads, you back in those days, millions of people were hearing your music. It was quite satisfying in a weird way.
So you sort of came full circle. You came back to the band.
Yeah, I came after I decided to sort of knock that on the head, which was probably about 12 years ago. I went bad for about 6 or 7 years, and I lived in Dalston and with inappropriate women, and burned most of the money that I'd made, which was quite a lot. had a, and then after that, you can only do that for a certain length of time. It lasted about 6 or 7 years. And I thought, well, better, let's get back to doing something that might actually be life-fulfilling and generate income. So I moved back into bands, and King Mob was the first sign of that. And then I co-produced with Spedding his all-star album, Joyland. And then that led kind of to Sharks. And we're now on Sharks' second album and have done a fair amount of dates, played Germany, Japan, UK, Sweden. Life is fun. I'll be 67 in 2 weeks, and I'm still fit enough to sing and perform.
Well, I haven't got your energy at 43, so you're doing exceptionally well. Tell us a little bit about what the King Mob show is about, because it's always at least loosely themed.
Yeah, well, you've got to have a theme. I mean, in that way, it's more or less the same as when I do music. I'll start with a theme and an idea, but if other things come into that and change it that I think are either interesting or funny or satisfying or just sometimes plain mischievous, then I will. I think the King Mob radio show it's a shape that will bend a lot of different ways. As you know, I've done reggae, I've done Jeff Beck, I've done songs of pirates in the sea. I've done, got a long list of themes at home, and I just keep adding to it. And then as each week develops, I pick the theme early on in the week, and then just let it mull around in my head, play a few tracks, just check stuff on the internet, check on YouTube, just feel around, really, until I get what I consider is a nice shape for a show that I can also tell some amusing gags or stories from my life, or, just anything that I think other people would find interesting.
Well, other people certainly do find it interesting. You've got one of the highest regular listenerships on Radio Lewes. I'm very thankful for that. Steve, thank you so much for giving me your time. We'll speak soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can't you just let it ring a little longer, longer, longer? Oh, I'll just sit tight through shadows of the night. Let it ring forevermore.
From 1977, that was the Yellow Telephone Line from the album A New World Record. Now I'm going to play you one more track, excuse me, and then I've got another interview for you. This is going to be Santana, She's Not There.
No one told me about her, the way she lied.
Originally recorded in 1964 as the debut single from the Zombies. And they had chart hits all over the place with it. That Santana cover was from 1977 and appeared on his album Moonflower. And that one peaked at number 11 in the UK singles charts. Now, as promised, I have an interview with a UK-based artist working in music, sound design and film, Phil Clemo. And again, he's speaking with John Russell.
Radio Lewes. Local webcasting for a worldwide audience.
Hello, this is John Russell in the Radio Lewes studio. It's my great pleasure to welcome Phil Clemo on the line. Hi, Phil.
Hi there, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. Now, you were in Lewes in 2017 at the Con Club, and you're coming back this year, and you're appearing at the Depot on the 9th of May.
I am indeed.
What are you going to be doing there, Phil?
Well, I'm going to be playing with a six-piece band, an amazing bunch of musicians, and we're going to be playing a series of pieces that each one has its own visual identity as well. So visual imagery is a really important part of what we do live, and each piece, as I say, will have its own related imagery, which will be changing depending on what we're doing on the night.
Fantastic. And people can see what that's all about by visiting your website, which is Philip Clemo, one L in the Philip, .com. And where can people get tickets?
They can get tickets through my website. On the front page of my website, I should just say, for anyone who doesn't know, the spelling of my surname is C-L-E-M-O. They go to my website. On the front page, there's links to the three little concerts, or three mini tour concerts that I'm doing in May, and then they can also go directly to any of the websites of the individual venues.
Brilliant. I should have said normal spelling for Clemo, shouldn't I? Anyway, that's Philip with one L, Clemo, CLEMO.com for the tickets, and that's at the Depot on the 9th of May. Thanks for talking to us, Phil.
You're very welcome.
Radio Lewes. Local webcasting for a worldwide audience.
Thinking about the times you drove in my car, thinking that I might have drove you too far, and I'm thinking about the love that you laid on my table. I told you not to wander around in the dark. I told you about the swans that they live in the park. Then I told you about our kid. Now he's married to Mabel. Yes, I told you that the light goes up.
Badge from Cream. A song without a real title. Badge is the chord sequence in the bridge section. B, A, D, G and E. And before that, the interview with Phil Clemmo. And as with the Ian Ruskin one, there is a longer version of that interview available on the Radio Lewes website. Now we're going to have one more track, and then I'm going to give you the very short gig guide again, and I'm going to play you something by the Dead Sea Scouts as well, as they're playing here tonight. And this is Rod Stewart and Reason to Believe.
If I listen long enough to you, I'd find a way to believe that it's all true. Knowing that you lied straight-faced while I cried, still I look to find a reason to believe. Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give. Never think about myself. If I gave you time to change my mind, I'd find a way just to leave the past behind. Straight-faced while I cry, still I look to find a reason to believe. Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give. Never think about myself. Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give. Never think about myself. Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give. Never think about myself. Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else.
From 1971, the album was Every Picture Tells a Story. Now tonight, the Dead Sea Scouts are performing here at Westgate. It is a Radio Lewes live sessions event they're supported by the Dichotics, so you're in for 45 minutes of psychedelic garage rock, followed by the Scouts' alternative folk-off. I've tried to get them to explain that, but I don't think even they know what it means. Doors at 7:30. It is free with a ticket. You can pick one up from Size Sounds. You can get them online at We Got Tickets. There is a cash bar. All proceeds go to the Radio Lewes and the Oyster Project. We couldn't do these events without your donations, so they're all gratefully received. If you can, please chuck something in the hat at the end of the night. It'll be a fantastic evening. The Scouts are promoting their debut EP. It is called Flotsam. And you can pick one of these up from Size Sounds as well. I urge you to do so. Support the band. They really are a terrific sound. And I'm going to play you one now, and then I'll tell you the rest of the gig guide, because there is one coming up later in the year at Westgate that I forgot to tell you about. In the meantime, this is the Dead Sea Scouts and Left Behind.
In my door, I wait and wait and wait and wait, but he don't come around no more. You said some things, oh yeah, you said some things in your time, but it's the memory of your silence that is left behind. You fall in love with most anyone. Why can't you love the one you're with? I understand your difficulty. It's the lies I can't forgive. You said some things, oh yeah, you said some things in your time, but it's the memory of your silence that is left behind. Said some things, oh yeah, you said some things in your time, yeah, but it's the memory of your silence that is left behind. I wrote a song to explain myself, it just made my fingers sore. Take off your clothes just to let me pick them off the floor. You said some things, oh yeah, you said some things in your time, yeah, but it's the memory of your silence that is left behind. You said some things, oh yeah, you said some things in your time, yeah, but it's the memory that is left behind, left behind, left behind, left behind, left behind.
That was a wonderful voice of M. Steve Brooks, our very own Steve Brooks of the Vapor Trails, plays guitars for Dead Sea Scouts. Vocals, violin and proper instruments by M. Noises of drums and a rainmaker by Charlie. And voice guitars, ukulele, piano and bass by Scott. There you go. We've got a wonderful gig coming up for you tonight here at Westgate. Alternatively, Shirley Collins and Ian Keary are playing the Elephant and Castle tonight, 8 p.m. That's £10 to see the legendary folk singer. And Sunday the 31st sees John Forrester. I mean, Sunday's in the bar session at the Conclub at 3:30. That one's free. And another free event, a Rome Jam session hosted by Sophie C. Mason upstairs at the Royal Oak at 7:30. That one, again, is free, as I said. And I did forget one. Excuse the noise while I get the poster. Death and Vanilla. The cult Swedish trio bring their atmospheric psych pop to the intimate Westgate Chapel in celebration of their latest release, Are You a Dreamer, available on Fire Records. That's Thursday the 30th of May here at Westgate Chapel. Doors at 7:30. Tickets are £12 online or £14 on the door if you want to get them on the night. They're available from local record shops, ctickets.com, or the venue where possible. There is a booking fee on advanced tickets. That one should also be a great night. That's Thursday the 30th of May. More music now. This is the Hollies.
The road is long, with a many a winding tongue that leads us to who knows where, who knows where. But I'm strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. So on we go. His welfare is my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there. For I know he would not encumber me. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. If I'm leaning at all, I'm leaning with sadness that everyone's heart isn't filled with the gladness of love for one another. It's a long, long road from which there is no return. While we're on the way to there, why not share? And the Lord doesn't weigh me down at all. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. He's my brother.
Now, the Hollies, originally from 1969. He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. And featured in the film Zoolander with Rufus Wainwright, of course. And I'm going to have one more little shot at shameless self-promotion while I change the disc because I refuse to play Genesis. This is the rock spot.
Right, Ben, come here.
What do you want?
Oh, I want to ask you about your rock show. You've been badgering me about all mine, and I thought it's about time you had yours done. So, right, tell me about your rock show. What's it all about?
My rock show, it's about bringing fantastic rock music to a wider audience. Simple as that. I try and find all the best new stuff. I still play all the old classic stuff.
Well, you have to.
And I bring my love of rock music to a wider audience. That's really all it is. I just want to prove to people that rock music is just not a loud, horrible noise like Motorhead.
Was it not? Oh. So, why do you like rock music? Where did that come from?
Actually, I was very, very young, and I was quite often babysat by my cousin Caroline, who was a huge AC/DC fan, and she used to play that to make me go to sleep.
Oh, well, that's a good one.
AC/DC were my lullabies.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, that was it. It was a great sound. I've loved it since I was a toddler.
That's cool. That's good. Well, I've been listening to it as well, and I've found a few things that I've not heard of before. Some of them I thought, oh, really? Is that rock? I mean, it's good. And as long as you keep finding it, your mole does a good job for you.
My mole, he finds all sorts of stuff for me that I haven't got time to look for.
So keep on the good work and keep on rocking.
Absolutely.
That's it. Ta-da.
Is that it then?
That's it. I've got nothing else to say to you because it's just so good.
Oh, all
I
right,
thought that'll do.
Okay.
Fed up with you chasing me. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yes, indeed. And that is it. We're out of time. You've been listening to Saturday Live here on Radio Lewes, where the music matters. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to leave you with Simple Minds from 1985. The album was The Breakfast Club. And this is Don't You Forget About Me. Until next time, bye-bye.
broadcasting for a worldwide audience.